Rockstar Gang, what up? What up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Rockstar Report. Appreciate you guys coming through. What's up, SC Panthers boy? Today, I'm going to talk about my 2026 free agency prediction. Like, this is what I think they're going to do. I don't think that I'm not going to go crazy on this. It's just a couple predictions that I'm predicting because, again, we have the free agency starts. The free agency starts, on Tuesday. All right. Free agency starts on Tuesday. So we're gonna dive into some things I think they're gonna do. I don't think we aren't going to like sit quietly this offseason. I think like I've said before, I think Dan Morgan has already hinted that the team plans to stay aggressive, especially on the defense. I mean, we still have some holes to fill. While fans always dream about, splashy moves, which we all are, the front office, I think, is likely going to focus on some practical upgrades that fit the roster and the salary cap. I've already talked about restructures, extensions. There's plenty of guys who I think that will restructure and extend, and we've talked about that on here before. But what we're really going to talk about is, what they're actually going to do. Okay. There's multiple ways that they're going to go about this, and I'm going to try to be as realistic as possible what we could actually do in the free agency opening. All right. So let me pull up Spot Track real quick. Because I need Spot Track for what I'm going to be talking about mainly. All right, so let me pull it up. What's up, Strata843? Good morning. Good morning, Trizzy. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, SC Panthers boy. Appreciate you guys. Again, guys, hit that thumbs up button. I also just posted up a video about the Max Crosby trade, so go check that out if you haven't already. Odafe Oweh. So here's the thing. I think this is the most realistic option. I do think Carolina adds a pass rusher in this free agency. I think this is one of the most predictable moves that Carolina could make because Dan Morgan has made it clear that that teams want, more pressure off the edge. And his mindset is simple. You can never have too many pass rushers, okay? You could finish around the middle of the league in sacks. Carolina could have finished middle around the league in sacks last season. While I think the defensive line has young talent, right? The team still lacks a consistent edge rusher who can threaten the quarterback and who can take over games. And again, I just think that Odafe Oweh makes the most sense because, again, I get that he only recorded 7.5 sacks, okay? But he fits the profile of a player who could hit the market, all right, at roughly $9.3 million per year, which is about the starting edge rushers are getting now. Okay. That's about where they're at least from a standpoint of getting paid. Okay. So I think that Odafe Oweh also makes sense because a lot of people aren't giving this guy a lot of credit. Okay. The reason, he doesn't get a lot of credit because the numbers aren't stacked up. He's not a double-digit sack leader. Well, here's what's happening. He only played 50% of the defensive snaps. Right? Clay, 9 a.m. on a Saturday. It's 9 a.m. where you are. It's 10 a.m. over where I'm at. It's 10 a.m. wherever I'm at. Brooklyn says, I like him. Justin says, straight up silly if they let Cade Mays walk, especially if the Ike Ekwonu's injury. Um, I mean, the another thing I think a bold prediction though. Another bold prediction for me though. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they let I wouldn't be surprised if they let Cade Mays walk. You can sit there and say it's silly. You can say Justin Graham, you can sit there and say it's silly, but Justin, his market value might be too high, man. It might be too steep. I mean, you're talking about paying Cade Mays off of what? I guess you could say 2 seasons. I mean, technically, last season, he didn't get the starting center job. Austin Corbett did, but then he stepped in nicely, right? When Corbett went down. Then he comes in and they try this thing again where Corbett gets the starting job. Then Cade May starts the rest of the way, and of course looks like the stud. But you're going to be paying him top 7. You're going to be paying him top 7 center money. So again, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. Not saying that we ain't gonna. That doesn't mean they're not going to go out and replace him. I think they will try to replace Mays in the draft, and I think that's the same thing they're going to do too. I think that they're going to try to replace Mays in the draft. I really do. I think they'll keep Samac on the team for some insurance, and then they will move. They'll make a move in the draft and go get somebody to replace Mays. Mays' market value has jumped because so many centers now have retired. It seems like this offseason, if you paying attention to the NFL, is the center position becoming the wide receiver position, right? I mean, I get the chemistry is chemistry, man. You can have chemistry with all these guys you want to. If they sign them, great. I'm not going to sit here and complain. I'm not saying I don't want Cade Mays on the team. I just don't see how they're going to be able to make it work with all the other holes that they need to fill. I think you could get a decent guy in a Defi Alway, and I think you could bring in a Devin Lloyd. Those are going to be your 2 spending points. But I think if we're really going to make a push, you're going to have to restructure and extend guys to save money. Right? And also some releases. You're going to have to see some releases as well. So again, it's all going to depend on where this team. It all depends on the restructures and the extensions that happen, as well. I think that that's something that this front office is working on. I hope they work on it sooner rather than later, because free agency starts on Tuesday. David, Max Crosby got traded to the Ravens. He's a Raven. And the AJ Brown thing is the Crosby thing we were never linked. That was just a rumor, or it was a fake news. And same thing with the AJ Brown thing, David. It's fake news as well. I just posted up a video about the trade for Max Crosby. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please go do so. Please go do so if you haven't checked it out yet. I just broke it all down. If they cut A'Shawn Robinson, Craig's $10.5 million, yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, again, I think that's a move. They've already said that he can, get a trade. But if they can't get a trade, if the front office ain't going to get a trade, he's basically going to be a cap casualty. If they can't bring back Mays, how would you feel about bringing back Bozeman? Didn't Bozeman retire? Or did the Chargers just release him? I wouldn't bring back Bozeman, Trizzy. I would just replace. Listen, I'd rather replace Mays in the draft. I'd rather go get Pat Coogan out of Indiana and bring him in. I just, we got to realize that our cap space is not in a good place until, I mean, right now I'm talking about where the cap space is at. So this is what I'm talking about. Like I predict, my prediction though is, if we're talking about extensions, we're talking about cuts, stuff like that. There's a lot of cap casualties on this team. Hold on, I gotta look up my gotta look up something. What is this? No. Try to find my cap space sheet that I had. I had a cap sheet put together of players that we could extend, cut, that I put together myself. That's what I'm looking for right now. I think this is it. Okay. Okay. So put it as straightforward to this. All right. Through this before. And I'm going to run through this again with you guys. Let me get out of Spot Track, because my goodness, with all the dang things going on. Shout out to Marcos Cash with that $2 donation. I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate you with that. Appreciate you with that. Appreciate that $2 donation. Well, big time driver, I would love for you to find some money for me to get Cade Mays, because you're going to be paying him top 7 center money. You're talking about $8 million per year. And with all of these centers getting signed and guys retiring, his market value goes up. So the more that this happens this offseason, center position has basically become the new wide receiver position. I'm not saying you let him walk, but if you can't get a deal done, what are you going to do? You're not going to replace him at all? You don't replace Cade Mays. Okay, so you don't replace him at all? We just sit there and we just let the center position fall where it lies? Like, make it make sense. Like, add context back to what you're saying. Like, what are we talking about here? Because they're going to have to go out and bring in a left tackle. They're going to have to bring in a veteran left tackle, which I predict that they do. So make it make sense. Add context to back up your ideas. I can't stand when people make comments like that, like they know what they're talking about. Add context. All right, so here are some moves that we could make to save up a lot of salary cap. You're not going to get a 1-year deal on Mays, Rob. You're not going to get a 1-year deal. We're talking about a guy who's going to get you're talking about someone who's going to get a 3 to 4 year extension, around $8 million per year. You're not going to get him for a 1-year, $8 million deal. It ain't going to happen. I'm telling you that now. The market value on the center position has gone up. Because of all these guys. Yep. Crosby traded to the Ravens. I posted a video about that. Go check it out. I got more NFL news coming out as well. I'll be posting that up right after this stream. All right. So here's the first thing we're going to do. If we want to clear up some cap space, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to run through this real quick. Where is Ashawn? All right, Ashawn. I'm going to run this through for you. You cut him. Your dead cap is around 10.5 million. You save around 10.5 million. Okay. You save around 10.5 million. Okay. You add that up. You save 10.5 with that. These are the moves that I would do. If I'm Dan Morgan, I'm cutting him, because if you can't get a trade deal done, because I mean, even with a trade, yeah, you get some picks, whatever, cool, and you save 10.5. The trade would be the biggest thing, because you get some picks or something out of it, right? You get some extra value out of it. But then the dead money, you're at 2 million, you save 10.5 million. All right. Now, there's been some more rumors that that we are really trying to move Andy Dalton. I've heard a lot of rumors. A lot of sources have told me that we are really trying to move on from Andy Dalton. That's what I've heard. I don't know how true it is. I don't know how that my source that is telling me how truthworthy they are. But according to, I've even seen it on X as well, they're trying to move on from him. They cut him. You take a dead cap hit of 5.6. You only save that, but you trade him. The trade would be more valuable for us, because you only take a 3.6 million, but you save 2.1. Okay. So the Andy Dalton thing, you want to trade him. If anything, you want to be able to trade him. What are you going to get for him? I don't know. All right. But here's the thing. You trading him, you do lose Bryce Young's mentor. You can put all that into context, whatever you want. I don't care. Oh, you're good, Zach. No worries. They got to cut Ashawn. They already had a lot of cap tied on the line. Yep. So again, you can do this with Andy Dalton. You really, if you don't want to release him, because you get nothing really in return. You really want to trade him. Okay. Now, my next thing that I'm going to say is, if you could trade Andy Dalton and you trade Ashawn Robinson, right there, you've already 10.5 plus 2.1. You're at $12.6 million. Now, I got another one. I don't know how big people are on him, but Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble's a guy that I would look to cut as well, because here's the reason why. Not because I don't like Tommy Tremble, not because I don't think he doesn't bring a blocking factor into all of this, but you cut him, guess what happens? You save $6 million. Or you keep him, but then you extend him and you save 3.4. All right. That's for you guys to decide if you would rather cut him or extend him. That's up to you. You could extend him and you save 3, right? You cut him, you save around 6 million, but you take a dead cap hit. All right. Another one that I would also say is Pat Jones II. Now, Pat Jones, these are guys, as much as I actually talked about Pat Jones the last live stream, that I'm like, he could be okay. He was looking solid before he got injured, so on and so forth. But you cut him, guess what? You take a dead cap hit of 5.3. But you save around $4.7 million Now, if you extend him, you save 4, but I don't see that. If you trade him, you save around 6.5. But he could end up becoming a cap casualty as well. We shall see. But in total, basically, you moving on from all 4 of those guys. So A'Shawn Robinson, Andy Dalton, Tommy Tremble, Pat Jones. You add it all up, it's approximately around $23 million in additional cap space, right? Another one that I would also look into doing, some extensions I would look into doing, is Damian Lewis. Because if you extend Damian Lewis, you save yourself around $9 million, basically, because his current cap hit is already going to be around 16.7. All right. So if, again, you can save yourself a lot of money with some cuts, some releases. Like Tommy Tremble, you cut him, you save $6 million. You cut A'Shawn Robinson, you save 10.5. You cut Bobby Brown III, you save 6.2. I got this all written down. Another one that I would also suggest doing, and if you guys want to get your math calculators out, you can. Like Derek Brown, I'm not saying anything about a trade. I'm not saying anything about cutting, so don't go to that. What I'm going to say about Derek Brown that I would look into is restructuring. Reason why I would restructure, because look how much money you can save. 11.6 and $10 million the next year. All right. JC Horn is another restructure. I would look to restructuring him because guess what? The next 3 seasons, you save 12.3, basically 10 million, and then another 10.4 million. All right. I would also look into Taylor Moton. I think Taylor Moton, if I'm doing anything with him, I'm restructuring Taylor Moton. I'm not extending him. I'm not at 32 years old. I'm looking, if I'm doing anything, I'm restructuring him. Because you save $8.9 million. That's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. All right. I'm assuming I see what everybody's talking about. I actually haven't watched the blueprint last night. I'll definitely get into that today. All right. So again, restructuring JC Horn, you save $12.3 million. You restructure Derek Brown, you save $11.6 million. What if you trade Moton? So you trade Moton. I'm still in Moton, right? Yeah. Trade Moton pre-June. So let's say you trade him now. If you trade him now, you take major money. You take a dead cap hit of 20, and you only save $290,000. Then the next year you take 13.8, you only save 14. So trading him pre-June, I don't think it makes post-June. Now, if you trade him after June 1st, that's a better move, AJ. It's a better move. Dead money cap, it's only 6.9 for the next 3 years, but in total savings, you're saving $35 million. So for us to trade him, you would have to do it after the June 1st designation rate or date. Sorry. But I still think you should just restructure him. I mean, I think that's just the smarter move. Who else did I not mention? I mentioned Damian Lewis extension. Let's go down to Bobby Brown III. So if you cut Bobby Brown III, you save around, but you would have to cut him post-June. Cut him post-June, that designation 8, you save, dead money hits 1.8, you save around 6.2. All right. And then for my last one, that I would do. Where's it at? Mike Jack. Mike Jack is another guy. Now, I'm not saying cutting him. What I'm saying to do with Mike Jack is actually extend him. Extending him, you save $3.2 million. After the last season he had, I'm looking to extend this guy. Tell Icky to give that damn money back. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So those are my restructures, my cuts. Again, and again, I'll put all this together. I'm going to put this all together for you guys real quick. I'm going to put this all together for you. Watch this. We're going to do some math together. Y'all ready? I bet you didn't plan on doing some. Math this morning. All right, I'm going to share this tab with you. All right, restructure. JC Horn. Guess what happens? 12.3 million. Boom. Derek Brown. And these are just moves I'm suggesting. I'm not saying that they're going to, I'm not predicting that these do this. But if I'm Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis, these have to be moves that they are got to be looking at. All right. Give me a second. Oh, no. It's 10.5. Whoopsie. All right. And then we got Tommy Tremble. Or not Tommy Tremble, Taylor Moton. Not saying they're going to do all these moves, but I'm giving you. I'm just showing you how much money they can save if they do this. And then we'll get back into my predictions. I mean, if there's a trade coming, Driver, I mean, I'm interested to see what the trade is because I don't know who they would trade for right now. All right, so that's for example. Good morning, Rock. Good morning to everybody in the chat, by the way. Good morning. So this is some moves that they can make. If you add it all up, Zach added it all up. You're looking at $69 million. Now, again, they're not going to make all these moves. They're not going to make all these moves. You may not be correct. Let's look it up. We'll add it up real quick. That ain't no problem. All right, so 12.3 plus, 11.6 plus, 6 million plus, 10.5 plus, 8.9 plus, 9 million, 3.2, 2.1, 6.2 equals, yeah, 69.8. All right. How about restructuring Turk contract? Let's go back over there. So if we restructure Turk, where's Turk at? There he is. All right, Turk, and they restructure. Restructuring would save 6.1. So that's another one that they could probably look at as well. We can add that. We can add that to the list. So again, they got a lot of options that they can do, man. I mean, and you could save a lot of money, as you can see. So, well, I'll have to wait and see what Dan does because he might draft one, but he's not going to be. It's not going to be early. What position are you talking about, AJ? So 75.9 million saved. Yeah. And again, they're not going to make all these moves, chat. They're just not. They're not like if I'm doing it, I'm cutting Tommy Tremble, I'm cutting Ashawn Robinson, I'm cutting Bobby Brown III, and I'm trying to trade Andy Dalton. Those are those are the ones that I'm trying to do. And then what I would really try to do is restructure Taylor Moton and extend Damian Lewis. Those are all the moves I'm doing. Like legit. Like I cut Trimble, cut Ashawn, restructure Taylor Moton, extend Damian Lewis, and trade Andy Dalton. So that's what I would do. We shall see. It's a lot of moves. It's a lot of moves. But that's just me. That's what I would do. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get back to over the cap. So I gave you my first prediction. I think that they'll go after a Defi Alway. That's the first one I'm doing. Now my next one, we've already talked about this, Cat. I do think they are going to make a splash in free agency. At least one. I think they're going to make a splash for Devin Lloyd. I do. I think Devin Lloyd is the guy that they're really, that's their splash guy. Like how Milton Williams was our splash guy last year, even though it didn't work out that way. I think that this is going to be the splash. Because if there's one position that we need to clearly stabilize, it is the linebacker. And multiple reports around the league have suggested that our biggest, like multiple reports, like multiple people have suggested the biggest defensive weakness in 2026 is at that spot. Especially when it comes to covering, to coverage and range in the middle of the field. And our current group hasn't produced long-term, a clear long-term answer. We haven't had a long-term answer in that middle linebacker position since the Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly days, which means the Panthers could look outside the building. Now, again, Devin Lloyd is a name, all right, that could be, I think, is realistically been connected. He continues to come back, like how Trey Hendrickson was getting named so much with Carolina last offseason. This guy is getting named just as much. I think another guy that we possibly could look at as well, and I wouldn't be surprised as well, and it wouldn't be the splash name, but Caden Ellis is another one, right? They got to get a reliable, and I think maybe they might even try to get another reliable veteran capable of starting right away, because you got Roseboom, who's walking in free agency now, and then you also got Tre'Von Wallace, who's had back-to-back shoulder injuries, who can't stay on the field. So that's an issue, right? The players in that tier, like Devin Lloyd, could land contracts anywhere between $8 million and $20 million per season, right? Depending on the experience and really the demand. But I predict that we get a starting caliber linebacker to bring stability to this defense. And, of course, maybe they go after a Leo Chanel. Maybe they go after another guy like Leo Chanel. Marcos gifted the one membership to the gifted the Robstar Report membership. Appreciate that. Shout out to Marcos for that one. Looks like Rock got it. Devin would be huge. Absolutely. I think Dan will learn from Milton and reset the linebacker market to pay Devin Lloyd. That's what I'm thinking too, AJ. I do. I think that this is our splash move. If we need someone cheap, go Leo Chanel. Exactly, Brooklyn. If we don't get Devin Lloyd, I'm probably going after Leo Chanel. I don't know if I'm interested in Tremaine. I see some of you saying Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds was just cut by the Bears. I don't know. I kind of like Chanel better. I don't know. Chanel and Tremaine Edmonds, I feel like, are on the same wavelength from a production standpoint, but I could be wrong. Any decent nickels will be taken rounds 1 through 3. I don't see us taking a cornerback in any of those picks. If they can draft a safety, they can be versatile. That will make sense. I hear you, Strata 843. Free agency starts March 11th, so this coming Tuesday. Right? Or this coming Wednesday. The tampering starts the 9th. So that's Monday. So no, it starts on Wednesday. Free agency starts on Wednesday, March the 11th. Tampering starts the 9th. Teron Johnson Bills would be a good nickel. He just got cut. T. Thompson's all about Leo Chanel. Again, Leo Chanel, I think Caden Ellis, Tremaine Edmonds, Devin Lloyd. I think all those guys are on the table, man. I think you got to make a move. So Devin Lloyd would be the biggest splash, though, of them all, for sure. And I think that's going to be the biggest splash that they make. All right. Now, my next one is, I think, hold on, I'm going to have to get to the free agency page. Let me go to NFL, go to free agents. Now let's go to the quarterback position. And I predict that we get a backup quarterback. All right. And there's plenty of quarterbacks to go after. I know Geno Smith has been connected to us. I don't think they're going to go after Geno Smith. I don't think they're going to go after Malik Willis because of his asking price. You're not going to go get Kyler Murray. He's going to be a starting quarterback somewhere. But you're going to go get after a guy like maybe a Marcus Mariota or Zach Wilson or Russell Wilson or Kenny Pickett or Trey Lance on this list, right? I'm going to go after or Tyler Huntley or Sam Howell, right? If I'm going after anybody who's a free agent backup quarterback from this list, I'm going after Sam Howell. I'm going after Sam Howell. He's a free agent. Okay. But I do think that we upgrade the backup quarterback, right? I think we might quietly spend some money on a backup quarterback this year than they have done in the past, right? I mean, if you go look at who they drafted, who they brought in here for backup QBs, right? They brought in Andy Dalton, but then they drafted Plummer, not a guy, obviously not a guy who is NFL caliber, not, I think Sam Howell is a guy. I think Sam Howell is the perfect backup for him. Let me see who we got. We got Sam Howell. We got Trey Lance. People are saying Trey Lance. Got Zach Wilson. We got Snoop Huntley, Mariota. Damo says, I can see also Zach Wilson or Kenny. Tyrod Taylor. And then T. Thompson saying Sam Howell. I just think Sam Howell is the perfect backup. I really do as well. Again, the last season backup situation was built around affordability, right? So we may want to spend a little bit more to get some capable insurance option behind Bryce Young, right? The market includes, several guys that we just mentioned, right? Several intriguing reclamation projects, players who have the talent. They just need the right situation, right? And again, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett, any of these guys that you guys mentioned in the comments, I've mentioned what we talked about. None of these players are going to come cheap, right? If Carolina wants one, it may have to spend more than it did on recent backup deals, right? The Panthers, I think, will invest a few extra dollars to bring in a more capable backup quarterback behind Bryce Young. All right. That's what I like. You know what's the craziest though? Have y'all looked at the free agent market for the running back position? Look at the free agent market for the running back position. It's stacked. I'm not saying we're going to get a running back. So I just want to be clear here. Shane, we ain't getting Kyler Murray, bro. He's going to be starting in Minnesota. Kyler Murray is not coming here. Kyler Murray ain't coming here. I don't think that's what they're going for. Hey, Clay, I truly believe we aren't going to bring in any good free agent as usual because we're Carolina. That's going to be a ticket to our downfall. We do need a running back, though. Give me Drew Allard. Okay. I'm fine with getting Drew Allard in the draft. I don't think they're getting Kyler Murray, man. And I just don't see that being realistic. Justin Fields, though, could be. Doubt it, though. Yeah, Kyler's not looking to be a cat backup either. No, that's the thing. Drew Allard would be nice in the 5th round or Sawyer Robinson. Okay, I can see that. It's going to be a late round quarterback. I think it's going to be Cade the Club Sandwich. I like that. If I'm getting anybody, if I'm drafting, if I'm being honest, I like Tylen Green. I love the athleticism out of that. You're just going to have to develop that arm. The arm's there. Don't get me wrong. The guy's got arm talent. but you're going to have to work on that accuracy, bro. Cole Payton, okay, I've seen that name floating around. I'm a big Drew Allard fan, so if I'm getting anybody in the draft, and then it would probably be Sawyer Robinson because they're about similar player. But if I'm looking at anybody in the draft to develop, it's Drew Allard or it's Sawyer Robinson. Size, big arm. That's who I'm looking at. But look at this running back free agency, man. Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. We can skip over Austin Eckler. Antonio Gibson ain't bad. You still got Travis Etienne. You got Rico out there. Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker, KJ Dobbins. Kenneth Gainwell actually didn't look too bad in Pittsburgh. Jerome Ford, he's had some solid games for Cleveland. Raheem Mostert just needs to retire. Kareem Hunt still out there. Booby Miles Sanders still out there. Not surprised by that. Jeremy Nichols is in it, Brad. AJ Dillon, not a fan, turns the ball over too much. I thought him coming out of Boston College, he was going to be nice. Not really. Rashad White, Brian Robinson, Khalil Herbert, Michael Carter, Zamir White, Damian Pierce. Dude, there are so many. Tyler Algier, Isaiah Pacheco, Sean Tucker. There's so many running backs out here. I'm going to predict that they don't go a running back. I just wouldn't be surprised if they do with how stacked this free agency is for the running back position. All right, let's get into Cade Mays. I just wanted to look at that real quick because I was looking at it the other day. And I was just like fascinated about how many decent running backs in here. All right, this is my prediction for Cade Mays. Whether you guys like it or not, I don't care. Okay, Cade Mays is going to be a difficult and has put us in a difficult. Not really. It's not his fault. The market has put us in a difficult position. Like I said, with these centers hiring and with these other guys getting signed and traded away, I just feel like this offseason, the center position has become the wide receiver position, right? Right. This is going to be the most trickiest internal decision that could revolve around just a center, which I've never, I can't remember the last time I've seen this market be this high for the center position, at least in the NFL's pastime. Like, Mays has developed into a reliable piece of our offensive line. Great connection with Bryce. The chemistry is there. And I know teams around the league have taken notice once free agency opens. But if another team throws a large offer, because I would not be surprised. Guy, I mean, look at his market value. It's shot up. I mean, we're talking about $12.3 million per year. That was actually at $8.2 million before the whole market shot up. Spot Track had this market value at 8.2. Now they got it at 12.3. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be getting paid top 7 center money. It's going to be hard to bring him back here. This is why I was telling y'all at the beginning of the show when we got into the Cade Mays conversation. Spot Track, before all these guys started retiring, before all these people were talking about eyeing him down, his market value on Spot Track, I'm dead ass serious, was at $8.2 million. And now it is shot up to 12.3. Do you think the Carolina Panthers can afford that? Not right now. But all those things that we went through, they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to do at least 5 or 6 of those to make this work and still make a big splash. I'm telling you right now, with this situation, okay, that matching price is moved up. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And I would not be surprised if Dan Morgan and Brent Hills are like, this cost is too high. Again, they could go out and re-sign another free agent. Okay, there's other free agent centers out there that they could go after. Or they replace them by going in the draft. Either way, I think that Cade Mays is going to receive a significant outside offer, and it's going to force us to either pay up or we're going to have to pivot to another center option. I think this is going to be where Carolina does. Yes, I'm talking about Cade Mays, SC Panthers boy. So I just say, man, like I don't see how this is going to work. I mean, you're going to have to make some moves, bro. Like they're going to have to make some restructures. They're going to have to make some type of extensions, whatever the case may be. So, like I told y'all, man, I mean, we looked at the market value not too long ago on Cade Mays. It was around 8.2. Now with all these centers getting traded, they're getting retiring, his market value has now shot up to 12.3. And I just think my prediction with all of this is that Mays is going to receive a significant offer, and either we are going to pay up or we're going to have to pivot to another center option, whether that's through the draft or through the free agency. All right. So that's my next prediction. That's who I look, and we'll go through this real quick. Let's go look at some free agents. Okay, that's fine. There's no way that all these free agents. Okay. Yeah. Come on, let's take them. I don't. There's no way this is the only free agents in center positions, right? I mean, maybe it is. Is this the only free agents? Okay, so we do got left tackles out here, but you're telling me the only center that's a free agent right now is Tyler Badias? I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing him in because I think he's actually pretty solid. What's his market value? Center ranking sixth. Center ranking current contract. Center ranking 7th. But his market value is cheaper. I mean, this is probably, if you're going to get one, this is the guy you're going to have to go get. Oh, he just signed with the Chargers? Oh, he did just sign with the Chargers. So why are they showing him as a free agent then, Chris? Did Spot Track, I guess Spot Track hasn't updated their. Signed a 3-year, yeah. Lindenbaum is free, but too high, yeah. Why? I don't know why Spot Track isn't showing. Oh, signed. Here we go. This is where I'm looking. This is where I'm off. Okay, sorry. That was technical difficulties by me. Here are the centers that are available. I'm pretty sure Connor McGovern just didn't he just get signed? Lloyd Cushenberry. Lloyd Cushenberry could be one. $7.1 million annually. I wouldn't mind looking at him. McGovern. Where's his market value? His is at 16.3. Never mind. Moving on. Damn. Let's see what else we got here. Linderbaum's down there. Actually, Luke Fortner wouldn't be a bad one either, actually. Coming from the Saints, 6.2. They got him ranked as a top 10 center. Wouldn't be a bad move, in my opinion. Definitely on a better deal. I would say so far, Cushenberry would be one. And I'm just talking about from a price standpoint, Luke Fortner. Let's see who else we got here. Anybody else? Matt Hennessy might be not too bad. Let me look at Matt Hennessy. Where's his market value at? 1.8. Statistics. Games started. He hasn't started many games. He only started 2 games. Never mind. I guess my top 3 options, if we can't sign him, I would probably say would be Luke Fortner, Lloyd Cushenberry, probably those 2. Let me look at Ryan Bates real quick. Statistics. How did he do last year? He started all 6. No, he didn't start anything. Okay, so never mind. Yeah, the only 2 I see worth giving money to on that list, really for me, would be Lloyd Cushenberry and, of course, Luke Fortner. If anybody else got any more suggestions, you let me know. I just think it's going to be tough getting Cade Mays back. All right, let's go into the left tackle now. A veteran left tackle is my next prediction. All right, it's necessary. Now, this is a move that's not going to grab highlights. It could end up being one of the most important, though. With us having Ike Ekwonu dealing with, with his suffering that injury, there is a really possible he could miss part of 2026. Probably could miss the whole thing, depending on how his recovery goes. But because of that uncertainty, for me, you got to bring in a veteran capable stepping in if needed. All right. Several experienced options, in my opinion, would be Cam Robinson. All right. I would look in to bring in Cam Robinson. Or, let me see if he's still on here. I don't know if he's still on here or not. Be nice to your sister. This child, man. This child. She's funny. I guess he's not on this list, but Cam Robinson's definitely one. And I think there was another one who I was looking at the other day. Of course, you could get Josh Neishman. You could bring back Josh, who's a reliable swing tackle. Depends on the board. Past the trenches. Where are you? Who's past the trenches? I would say Decker. It would cost too. I would say Decker, but it costs too much. Right now, but for me, it'd have to be Cam Robinson. I mean, maybe Rasheed Walker, but then Rasheed Walker, the problem is I think you're going to have to pay him too much money. I mean, his market value is way higher than Cam Robinson. You could say Rasheed Walker, but it really on on this list, Rasheed Walker or Cam Robinson. I mean, I'd love to bring in a veteran like a Taylor Decker, but again, his market value is way too high too, especially for his age. Would love Monroe Freeling. And that's another route. Again, like I'm talking about from a free agent standpoint, they'll probably bring in a veteran. I probably, like, if I'm predicting it, I predict that we sign a veteran on a short-term deal. Like, whether that is a Cam Robinson or whether that's like a Josh Nishman. Like, that's what we'll do, just to add insurance on the offensive line. Same thing with like the center position. You know, we'll pivot that center position as well. So, but those are my predictions, right? So I predict that we sign a pass rusher like an Adefi Awe. I think it's someone who's a mid to high tier edge rusher. I think linebacker wise, you're going after a Devin Lloyd, Caden Ellis, Leo Chanel, right? Or maybe a Tremaine Edmonds as well. But I think the big splash, like I predict that it's going to be Devin Lloyd. And then the center position, then the backup position, I think they will upgrade the backup position. With the guy, like whether it's a Lance, Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, or they go in the draft and they go get, a Drew Allard or Sawyer Robinson. All right. Cade Mays position, if the significant offer comes out, I think they'll pivot. And I think they'll either try to sign somebody, and if they don't, they will definitely get someone in the draft, like a Pat Coogan. As for the veteran left tackle position, I think that they either go get a veteran, they just bring in a reliable swing tackle similar to Josh Nishman, or they bring back Josh, or they get Cam Robinson. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go like after somebody like Caleb Lemieux in the draft. I would not be surprised if they go after like a Caleb Lemieux in the draft. So, guys, do me a favor. There's over 90 people watching. Do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got 65 people, so we should have 65 likes on the YouTube channel. If you're on X, make sure you drop a follow, heart the live stream, and, of course, repost it, share it with your friends. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, X, TikTok. Got more content coming out to you guys today. Make sure you go check out the latest short on the X Crosby trade. Spoke about that. Other than that, guys, I will see you later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday, and I appreciate you guys joining me this morning. And as always, I'm out of here. Keep pounding. Peace.